Welcome to your free English lesson. This series will focus on modal verbs. There are 5 intended learning outcomes for this lesson. 1. We are learning to identify modal verbs used for advice. 2. We are learning to use should and shouldn't to give advice. 3. We are learning to explain why we are giving a piece of advice. 4. We are learning to use could to give a suggestion. 5. We are learning to ask for advice. It is important to write when you are asked to. It helps you to learn. You can use a whiteboard, but ideally, a notebook would be best. That way, you can keep a record of your learning. Advice is a suggestion to help someone make a good decision. Here are some examples. You should drink more water. You shouldn't stay up late. You should study for the test. The modal verb ought to can also be used instead of should. Ought to is considered more formal and is not used as much as should. You ought to drink more water. You ought to study for the test. Positive advice. We use should to suggest a good idea. The basic structure is subject plus should plus verb phrase. You should eat breakfast. You should eat breakfast. She should ask for help. She should ask for help. They should practice every day. They should practice every day. The speaker thinks these are good things to do. We use ought to suggest a good idea. Here is the basic structure. Subject plus ought to plus verb phrase. You ought to eat breakfast. You ought to eat breakfast. She ought to ask for help. She ought to ask for help. They ought to practice every day. They ought to practice every day. Should is used much more often than ought to. It is important to learn and recognise both, but should is best used in everyday conversation. The speaker thinks these are good things to do. Negative advice. We use shouldn't to suggest something that is not a good idea. The basic structure is subject plus shouldn't plus verb phrase. You shouldn't run inside. You shouldn't run inside. He shouldn't drive so fast. He shouldn't drive so fast. We shouldn't be late. We shouldn't be late. Shouldn't is a contraction of the words should not. Shouldn't is more natural in speech and is also considered more polite than should not. The speaker thinks these are not good things to do. We use ought not to suggest that something is not a good idea. Here is the basic structure. Subject plus ought not to plus verb phrase. You ought not to run inside. You ought not to run inside. He ought not to drive so fast. He ought not to drive so fast. We ought not to be late. We ought not to be late. Shouldn't is used much more often than ought not to. It is important to learn and recognise both, but shouldn't is best used in everyday conversation. The speaker thinks that these are not good things to do. We use should when we think something is a good idea to suggest. Here is some advice for these situations. If you are tired, you might get this advice. You should get more sleep. You should get more sleep. If you are hungry, you might hear this advice. You should eat something. You should eat something. If you are sick, you might hear this advice. You should see a doctor. You should see a doctor. If you are nervous about a test, you might hear this advice. You should revise your notes. You should revise your notes. We use shouldn't when we think someone should avoid doing something. Here is some advice for these situations. If you are tired, you might hear this advice. You shouldn't stay up late. You shouldn't stay up late. If you are sick, you might hear this advice. You shouldn't go to work. You shouldn't go to work. If you are saving money, you might hear this advice. You shouldn't spend so much. You shouldn't spend so much. If you are in a library, you might hear this advice. You shouldn't speak loudly. You shouldn't speak loudly. Have a go matching the comments with the advice. If you practice with a partner, take turns speaking each role. If you practice on your own, say both parts. Comments. I'm tired. I have a headache. My desk is very messy. I'm cold. I spend too much money. My dog doesn't get any exercise. Advice. You should tidy it up. You should put on a jacket. You should take him for a walk. You shouldn't stay up so late. You should make a budget. You should drink some water and rest. I'm tired. You shouldn't stay up so late. I have a headache. You should drink some water and rest. My desk is very messy. You should tidy it up. I'm cold. You should put on a jacket. I spend too much money. You should make a budget. My dog doesn't get any exercise. You should take him for a walk. We can use because to explain why we give advice. Here is the basic structure. Subject plus should plus verb phrase plus because plus reason. I'm tired. You should go to bed earlier because your body needs rest. You should go to bed earlier because your body needs rest. My desk is very messy. You should tidy it up because it looks disorganized. You should tidy it up because it looks disorganized. We can use because to explain why we give advice. Here is the basic structure. Subject plus shouldn't plus verb phrase plus because plus reason. I'm tired. You shouldn't stay up late because your body needs rest. You shouldn't stay up late because your body needs rest. I'm cold. You shouldn't be wearing a t-shirt because it is winter. You shouldn't be wearing a t-shirt because it is winter. A weak suggestion. Use could when you want to suggest an idea or option without being intrusive. Here is the basic structure: subject plus could plus verb phrase. You could talk to your teacher. You could talk to your teacher. She could try studying with a friend. She could try studying with a friend. We could leave a little earlier. We could leave a little earlier. When using could as a weak suggestion, it really means that it is one possible idea. The speaker is not saying that it is necessary. Compare could versus should. Which sentence is stronger? Problem. I'm running late every morning. I'm running late every morning. You could wake up earlier. You could wake up earlier. You should wake up earlier. You should wake up earlier. Could expresses an option, while should expresses a recommendation. Could is the same as maybe try this. Should is the same as this is probably the best thing to do. Asking for advice. Use should when you want to ask for advice. Here is the basic structure: should plus subject plus verb phrase. Should I ask for help? Should I ask for help? Should we leave earlier? Should we leave earlier? Should he apply for the job? Should he apply for the job? In this context, the speaker is asking, what do you think is the best thing to do? There is another question structure to use when advice is being sought for a problem. Here is the basic structure: what plus should plus subject plus do. What should I do? What should I do? What should she do? What should she do? What should they do? What should they do? This structure applies for other subjects too. What should you do? What should he do? What should we do? In this context, the speaker is saying, please tell me the best thing to do. Match the problem with the advice. A. I'm always tired in the morning. B. I want to save more money. C. I have a job interview next week. D. I keep forgetting appointments. E. I feel stressed all the time. F. I want to eat more healthily. G. I'm having trouble sleeping. H. I want to become more confident. I feel worried when I make mistakes. J. I want to improve my handwriting. 1. You could introduce yourself to more people. 2. You should prepare healthy meals at home. 3. You should remember to embrace mistakes. 4. You could go for a walk or get some exercise. 5. You shouldn't spend money on things you don't need. 6. You could use a calendar app on your phone. 7. You should practice answering questions. 8. You should try to go to bed earlier. 9. You shouldn't drink coffee late at night. 10. You should practice regularly. Pause the video. The next slide contains the answers. Check your answers. I'm always tired in the morning. You should try to go to bed earlier. I want to save more money. You shouldn't spend money on things you don't need. I have a job interview next week. You should practice answering questions. I keep forgetting appointments. You could use a calendar app on your phone. I feel stressed all the time. You could go for a walk or get some exercise. I want to eat more healthily. You should prepare healthy meals at home. I'm having trouble sleeping. You shouldn't drink coffee late at night. I want to become more confident. You could introduce yourself to more people. I feel worried when I make mistakes. You should remember to embrace mistakes. I want to improve my handwriting. You should practice regularly. Here is an extender for anybody who would like a challenge. Read the sentences and matching advice. If it is good advice, highlight it green. If it is bad advice, highlight it red. 1. I want to eat more healthily. You should eat some takeaway food. 2. My phone battery always dies. You should charge it before you leave home. 3. I spend too much money on coffee. You could make coffee at home. 4. I have a lot of work to do. You should make a list of your jobs. 5. I want to make new friends. You shouldn't go to parties. 6. I want to improve my fitness. You shouldn't go to the gym. 7. I don't understand this task. You should ask for help. 8. I'm feeling lonely. You could call a friend. Pause the video. The next slide contains the answers. Check your answers. 1. I want to eat more healthily. You should eat some takeaway food. This is bad advice. 2. My phone battery always dies. You should charge it before you leave home. This is good advice. 3. I spend too much money on coffee. You could make coffee at home. This is good advice. 4. I have a lot of work to do. You should make a list of your jobs. This is good advice. 5. I want to make new friends. You shouldn't go to parties. This is bad advice. 6. I want to improve my fitness. You shouldn't go to the gym. This is bad advice. 7. I don't understand this task. You should ask for help. This is good advice. 8. I'm feeling lonely. You could call a friend. This is good advice. Thank you for joining into the lesson today. I hope you now feel confident using the modal verbs that express positive advice, the modal verbs that express negative advice, and how to ask for advice. Please like and subscribe for more lessons. There is a lot to learn, so don't give up. Keep believing in yourself and you will learn. See you next time. Bye.